Hey guys, so today's video is on how I made the strawberry shortcake dress. I modified the top Lola pattern by Violet Field Threads to make this, and I just made a simple circle skirt with ruffles at the bottom. So I began with the ruffle skirt. Now it's just 2 half circles and ruffle at the bottom. I start with a ruffle. This was a twin size sheet that I used, so I cut 4 strands and then I put them together. I assemble them to make one long strand for my ruffle piece. I clip them, then I straight stitch and serge, and you can see right here that I have attached all of them, and it totaled up to 148 inches by 2.75 inches in height. And like I said, I am going to gather them, so I'm using my gathering foot for my Bernina. And first, before I even gather, I have to finish my ends. I serge and then just fold it over and straight stitch, and now I'm ready to gather. These are the settings that I have on my sewing machine for this gathering foot. I find that it does a really good job and does it pretty quickly. You need to make sure it stays on the fabric, it doesn't get off the fabric at all, otherwise it won't gather. And once my ruffle is all done, I can go ahead and assemble my skirt. So my skirt is 2 half circles. I go ahead and I put them right sides facing together, and then I can close off the ends to make one giant circle. I just do a serge and then a straight stitch, and once my entire circle skirt has been assembled, I can go ahead and I can attach the ruffle. Now the ruffle piece, you want to put it right sides facing together. I use these little clips. I don't use any more pins anymore because these just work perfectly for me. So I go ahead and I attach them all the way around. Because it's such a large circle, it does take a lot of time, and you want to get this right because should it shift, it's just kind of a pain because it's a circle. It's not like a straight line. So you really want to try to get it perfectly. So once I have attached my ruffle to my skirt and all the pins are in place, I can go ahead and I can attach it by serging and then straight stitching all the way around and closing that opening with a serge and a straight stitch. So this is what the final product should look like. I've attached my skirt. You can see this. I serged and I straight stitched all the way across, and you can top stitch all the way around to keep the ruffle a little bit flatter. So the bodice is a modified free Lola top by Violet Field Threads. I elongated the bodice just because my strawberry shortcake was not going to fit in their pattern piece. And that was the only change that I made. So it obviously affected the front and the back by elongating. But to begin, you put the straps on top of the main and the lining fabrics, and you go ahead right side together and stitch the straps on. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and put the main and the lining right sides facing together. You go around the armpit area, around the neckline, and all the way around the straps. You can go ahead and close them, and that is going to be the first step for your bodice. Once that's done, you can go ahead and you can trim your seam allowance, especially at the curved neckline. The next step is making this tiny little piece. It is a small loop that is going to go right in the center of the back of the dress where the straps are going to loop through, and you can tie a bow. Unfortunately, I only showed how I planned for it to go. I didn't actually show it because I forgot, but it does go back in the back center of the bodice. Now this is the back center of my bodice. I have main and I have lining, and I modified it to be the same distance. I have the original piece. This is the original pattern piece, and I just made it the same length, but I elongated the piece obviously because my back is taller now. And I went ahead and I did an elastic backing in the center. And the reason why I did this is because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't want to mess it up. So it worked out. You can tell I cut 3-inch elastic pieces, and I pull that elastic through just to give it a little more stretch. I did these lines and casings through which to pull my elastic through. And I was supposed to be like right at the center of that piece. I should have had that little loop right there, but I forgot and I added it just later when I was finishing. So you can tell that it's the same length, just the height is elongated, And I made an elastic backing just in case what I was doing was not going to work out. I was really worried about how the modification of elongating the bodice was going to affect it. So then I go ahead and I take these 3 pieces and I attach them together in a simple way. I didn't try to hide any of the stitch lines. I just go straight stitch and serge. And my main thing is that I needed to have its final stretch the length of my original pattern piece for this pattern, which was 15 inches. So it's 12 with the elastic, but if I stretch it out, it'll stretch out to 15 inches. So this is the final product. Now I can go ahead and attach it to my main front piece, and I just put them right sides facing together. And you take your main and you clip it to the main front, and then you kind of loop it over and around and you attach it to your lining with right sides facing together. And I didn't show the other step or the finished product too well, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you've done that side, you can go ahead and do the other. It's just a straight stitch all the way down and it'll attach perfectly. See? It attaches perfectly. That's what the inside should look like. And then you'd repeat the same thing on the other sides, right side facing together. You attach the main to the front, and then you're going to loop the lining or the back lining to the back lining of your bodice, if that makes sense. So just grab it and pull it to the forward, clip it in place, and now straight stitch all the way around and you're done. All right, so the next part is assembly. So now I am attaching my bodice to my skirt. My bodice ended up 7 inches in height and 9 inches in the back, which will stretch out because of that elastic. I top stitched my neckline and I did 2 gathering stitches for my ruffles on my skirt. And I go ahead and I turn my bodice right side in, and I go ahead and I'm going to just kind of scooch that skirt inside, and the fabrics are now right side facing together, and I can go ahead and clip. So I always like to clip the ends first. I always forget to mark my center points on my skirt. That is a habit that I'm trying to get into so my gathers are more evenly distributed and there's not more to one side than the other. When I do this, I usually just put a couple pins because as I sew, I adjust it. The back, though, I like to keep all of my ruffles to the side where the straight fabric is, and in the middle area, that elastic area right there, I don't like to have gathers. It happens that if you have gathers in the elastic area, it does like this poof thing in the back, which I don't like. So I like to keep it pretty simple. Stitch all the way around and you're done. This is the final dress. This used to be my bed sheet from when I was a child, and I have found that turning it into a dress was one of the best things I could have done because my kids would have never used it as a bed sheet, but as a dress, they look adorable. And they've learned who Strawberry Shortcake is, which is a huge perk, although they've never watched the original videos, but they know who she is at least. And this was a fun project. This is what the back should look like. Once again, I didn't show it, but the loop is stitched to the back elastic area, and I was able to loop through my straps and tie a bow to the back. I didn't show that, but that little loop is there, I promise. I hope you guys got some inspiration to turn a bed sheet into a dress. Thanks for watching.